Hi, everybody. I am here with Christy Day. Most of you, about 345,000 of you, know her as Southwest Air on Twitter. We're going to be talking to her a little bit about the Southwest Airlines social media strategy. Christy, welcome. Tell everyone where you are Skyping from.
I am Skyping from the Swissonian conference room here at Southwest headquarters in Dallas.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to get started. I mean, we don't have a lot of time, so let's just dive right into the questions. The first question I have is about the general social media strategy for Southwest. When did Southwest decide that they wanted to join in on social media, and what steps did they take to start building the strategy?
Well, I don't know if you remember way back when, but we had this show called Airline. It was on A&E, and it was a show that really brought people in behind the scenes. It was kind of a first, in the early stages of reality TV. So we had cameras come in and follow around our employees and get to see kind of the good, the bad, the ugly of Southwest Airlines. And it was a really interesting show. The day after it aired, resumes spiked because people wanted to work here, or maybe they wanted to be movie stars. I don't know. But so it was a great kind of opportunity to try out that authenticity and that social media kind of realm. From there, the show ended, and our boss was just saying, what's next? What's the next step here? We've stepped into this level of authenticity. How do we continue that? And so we started our corporate blog, which is nutsaboutsouthwest.com. And it's basically an online magazine of everything that's going on at Southwest. So it's written by employees all over the company, so flight attendants, rampers, people here at headquarters, just anybody. And we post daily videos, written blogs, and a podcast. So it's been a great, trial in posting news to our internal and external audiences. From there, we started Twitter and Facebook about 2 years ago. And, really the customers and the audience out there have shaped, what we put out on Twitter and what we put on Facebook. So it's just this great little playbook that we're all writing. It's a lot of fun.
Was there any resistance to embracing social technology when you first started?
Not at all. No, they want us out there communicating where our customers are. And so if that means they're on MySpace, then we would be doing MySpace. If our customers are on Twitter, which a lot of them are, that's where we're going to be. So no, it's really, really highly encouraged that we are communicating where our customers are. Southwest has a long history, 38 years of providing great customer service. So, the customer service doesn't change, but the vehicles in which we can have that great customer service may.
All right. Well, based on that kind of strategy of kind of anything goes, how do you guys measure your success in this space? Is it, what kind of metrics do you use? What's your goal?
Well, our goal, like I said, is just to provide great customer service. And so that is measured through, winning awards as the best customer service airline in the industry and great things like that. But also, too, when people ask about ROI, I get a little flustered just because I'm not a numbers person. I'm more measuring the kind of interactions and engagements that I'm having with people online. So, and it also depends on the campaign, too. So if we have a crisis situation, how quickly is our message being shared across these channels based upon the relationships that we've built? So that is an awesome way to measure. And we've seen that work really effectively in a few situations that we've had. So I think, measuring more of the relationships and things like that will provide a better outcome for you as a communicator. Also, too, I always go back to public relations and how PR is measured. Are we asked, after we go to lunch with a reporter, what did he eat? What did you talk about? No, we're not measuring it like that. We're measuring a relationship based on the outcome of the tweets and the blogs that they're posting. So it is difficult to do. But as far as really technical stuff, we do source coding, which is pretty basic way of measuring to see who's clicking through and purchasing tickets. But again, that's not all encompassing of who is viewing our tweets.
So you don't have any specific benchmarks that you have to meet as far as traffic or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, everything's better than zero, right? So, and they're free tools. So I think for us, it's a small impact, and we're aware that it's a drop in the bucket. We have over 300,000 followers on Twitter, but that is so small compared to the amount of customers we carry. So like I said, these are just more channels for us to communicate our message effectively.
Right. Well, you're the voice of your company on Twitter. how do you determine the tone of that voice? Were you encouraged to be playful or funny or professional? How does that come together?
Well, again, I think it goes back to kind of the Southwest history and kind of the way our business is set up. So, like if you fly on Southwest, which you do, you'll see our flight attendants are kind of funny, kind of encouraged to be themselves. You know, that we're given the freedom as employees to be ourselves. And I think it also goes back to the types of people Southwest hires. They, you know, look for a good personality and kind of train for the skill. So that is very important here, that we're hiring good, honest, personable people up front, because that customer service is so key to our business. So no, I mean, they didn't sit out and tell me, you know, go be funny, make funny jokes, you know, like so you think you can dance. No, I'm just me. And I think that's the wonderful part, and why it has been successful is that I'm really given the freedom by our leadership to be myself. And I think people see that as being personable and a connection. So it has worked well. Of course, there are times when, you know, I am maybe a little bit more corporate or, you know, have a talking point, but I try to mix those in, you know, with my own personal flair.
Well, let's talk about, you mentioned PR crises just in passing in your last answer. Let's talk about PR blackouts. They're frowned upon in social media, of course, until it happens to you, and then you know, kind of don't know what to do. Describe what a PR nightmare or crisis is for Southwest Airlines and how you handle a situation like that with social media.
Well, you know this. I mean, it can vary based on a short skirt or a plane crash or, you know, some horrible situation like that. It really varies based on the media coverage and the, I guess, the extreme nature of the incident. So I think that's one thing as PR communicators we have to be prepared for, is just, it could be anything. It could be a broken guitar. It could be somebody who, you know, their fare went up when they tried to purchase it. You know, it can be anything. And I think that's what we have to be prepared for. And that's why it is so important for us to have eyes in these channels daily and to kind of have people in position to know what could be a situation and what might not be. But a blackout is probably something you'll never see from us, just because we are very forthcoming with information. And thankfully, we haven't had anything too crazy happen. But I think we're equipped in the situation that it would. I think we've been kind of fortunate to learn from other situations that we've seen unfold, and have been able to structure our crisis plan around what we've seen. And I think we are prepared.
Well, I mean, to wrap up this first segment of the interview, tell me how Southwest Airlines has changed because of social media. How has it changed the company? How has it increased your relationship with your customers, sales, publicity, internal communications? Tell me a little bit about that.
It's really interesting. You know, it's been such this organic, just natural change and shift in the way we're communicating. I think every message that we send out now is sent out with the online audience in mind. So it's all just part of one plan of communicating with our customers. Like I said earlier, wherever they're going to be, we need to be there giving them the message that they're looking for. So I think that has shaped and changed a little bit. I also think our relationship with our employees has changed a little bit, and the way our employees connect with one another. So, you know, my boss is on Facebook and they're all following my personal account on Twitter. So I think that kind of interaction and relationship is something really interesting that I think more companies will start to embrace as this Gen X and Gen Y, you know, start to move forward in their careers. So that's been pretty cool. And I guess just to being able to communicate some of these messages that before we didn't see as media worthy, but now, you know, I can tweet about this interview, or I can tweet about a company barbecue, or whatever it may be. And there is going to be people that care and want to get that kind of news.
Wonderful. Well, Christy, thank you so much. This concludes the first segment of our interview. We'll be back with part 2, so stay tuned. And any parting words for this last segment?
No, you can tweet us, Facebook us, ask us any questions anywhere. We're happy to engage.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks.